there's so much noise in the real estate industry, so many things coming at real estate agents. We're going to cut through that today. We're going to give you some hope, some ideas, some ways to get above it all and maybe slow down your grind and increase your profits. So I'm talking today with Corwyn Melette out of South Carolina. Thank you so much for coming on, Corwyn.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. You go back, you've been in this business 20 plus years.
Yeah, I tell people, Joe, I'm too stupid to leave it. I
There
love
you
it.
go. That
Yes,
makes
sir.
two of us.
Yeah, exactly.
So give us a bit of your background. You've built your way up to owning a franchise and a half of Exit. That's pretty substantial. Love to hear how you got going. There are agents out there that are just starting out. There are agents out there that are thinking about going out on their own, maybe buying a franchise, maybe just open up a boutique. So I'd love to hear how you got started and how you got into the ownership piece.
Well, Joe, I always tell people that, my start in real estate started as a kid. My great grandfather who raised me was a carpenter by trade. I mean, that's what he did. He worked on houses, frame houses, did, renovation work, et cetera, et cetera. And I grew up around that stuff. As I got older, I also realized that he did a little bit of property management. He oversaw collected rents and stuff, for maintain people's properties and stuff, and they paid him a fee for it. Fast forward a little bit later in life, I had no desire to do any of that. I used to climb on roofs under houses, didn't want to do it, but I did gravitate towards the people part of real estate. I did love that exchange. I did like the back and forth with people, the things different every day. And to be transparent, I love money. I love the opportunity. Not strong to say I love money, but I like the financial aspect of it and the ability to build and create wealth. I spent a lot of time in financial books, magazines, researching, et cetera. That gave me more of a passion for what I understood than anybody in our country that has wealth, has real estate.
That's
So
absolutely true. And you've
yes,
built a whole show around that, your radio show.
yeah, I definitely have. So fast forward, I got, had an opportunity to get a real estate license. I wanted to get it primarily for me. When I got the license, I realized, wait a minute, I could help people do what I want to do, which is, build and create wealth. So I spent probably the first 18 or so years really dialed in, 18, 19 years really dialed in on helping people, find their legacy, find and build and create their own legacies. Started with a franchise, Weicker Realty's franchise, actually. Stayed there, went over, ran a company. I was owned by a nonprofit that focused on affordable, low moderate income buyers. And then subsequently went independent because I wanted to still be able to that. I love that space. I love, that particular demographic and helping people that otherwise sometimes don't believe they ever will. And then that migrated into me having my own office where our own franchise where I can continue the work that we do in the community.
Nice.
So that's what we've done, Guy.
Great, great. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of your operation and how you get agents to get motivated and get out there and some of the things that they're doing that are successful, you did a lot of work with, and you still do, for affordable housing. Give us one of your favorite stories of how you've changed a life.
Look here, I'll give you one that hopefully we're on the tail end of wrapping it up. So as we're doing this show today, we're literally pins and needles working to get a last unit done on a project. I was very honored to be selected by a fairly newly formed nonprofit to assist them with the marketing and sale of a 20-unit townhome development. And this development had $1.5 million of funds, ARPA funds in it, which are, funds that were made available during COVID to assist with home ownership and retention. And in turn, they took this money and used it to develop a series of townhouses to give people a shot at home ownership. And I was very humbled to be a part of the project myself, and a few of my team worked diligently and diligently on this. We have already made 19 homeowners and working to close to make number 20. We actually got, a lot of publicity locally on news. NAR magazine, Realtor magazine, actually picked up a story on us as well. Very humble about all of that because we don't do it for the recognition, we do it for the people. One of the first two people that contracted with us had both given up completely. School teacher. They teach, educate our future, and they could not afford a house.
Wow.
in our area at all. And this was they literally given up. One of them said, "Hey, I'm moving. I'm leaving. I'll never make it here. I'm giving up. I'm leaving the area." And was going to move out of state. And then this project came along. And as we explained it to her with her agent, she was, and we got her approved. She was very excited. Every time I see her, I don't cry no more. But every time I see her, I get welled up because that's the reason why we do this kind of work
That's fantastic.
in people's lives. So now she's a homeowner. She was one of the first people to close and move in. And now we got her involved on the board for the neighborhood and everything. It's so cool.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Changing lives. And I always tell people that, that's what we do on a regular daily basis. You're doing that amped up at such a higher degree. That's fantastic. Appreciate you for doing that. And I'm sure you're well respected in that arena, obviously.
Well, we try to make a difference. I always jokingly say this, Joe, but in real life, I'm a big guy. So I tell people if I lean on it, it's probably gonna move. So we try to lean in and lean on as much stuff as we can to try to make a difference and positive impact in our community.
That's fantastic. Good for you. So let's jump on to the business side of this. And anybody that's in this business knows that they do have the time to make the kind of impact that you're doing at
Mhm.
some level, which is a phenomenal thing about this business. Agents have the time to be able to set it aside for doing good.
Mhm.
Flexibility in the schedules. I mean, everyone says that. It doesn't always seem that way, yet it does exist if they control it as best they can.
Go ahead.
Not good.
One things I'll kind of interject in there. You have to schedule to be successful. The flexibility is one of the things, Joe. I know you see it. It's one of the things that gets most agents. I'm usually in the office unless I got appointments or something out or meetings before. I'm usually in here, fairly early. And if depending upon what time I get here, if I come in around 9 or so, I may be here to 6, close to 7, unfortunately. But most times I see everybody come and I watch everybody go. I'm reminded I watch some of the reels and stuff on socials and some of the ones in regards to some of your huge players, those people, those dialed in mindsets. Kobe Bryant is one of them. And there's a reel where, someone asked him why he didn't pass the ball, for the game winning shot. Why did he take the shot? And he said, well, I was here, had already been here practicing when you got to practice. I saw how you practice. I was still here practicing when you left. So why would I trust you with the game winning shot?
Right.
So that's one of the things there that we have to be mindful of. You got to schedule yourself to be successful.
Yeah, I think that is one of the most dangerous mistakes people make in this business. They want it because it's flexible and they think it's not 9 to 5, so they can do it whenever they want. And like you said, if they're not structured and they're not working at it, they're not going to make it. And it's hard to get that across to some people. And
It
I don't
it
understand
really
why.
it really is. I mean, we become a society where we want what we want when we want it, how we want it, and a number other of want it's right. And the reality that we understand is that's not always the case. Opportunity will find you, but you have to be in a posture and a position to receive it. You cannot receive anything from anyone if you block its approach. If that makes any sense. You can't be in a position. You can't. Nobody can drop anything in your hands if your hands are like this, if your hands are not in position or postured, if you will, to receive. And that's the thing. People want things on their terms, but the reality, sometimes those terms are the wrong posture. They're not set to receive. Your phone rings and you don't answer it. That's a call that you missed. And not saying that you will catch every phone call, because you won't. But on the other end of that phone was someone who had a desire to connect with you. And if you do not make a concerted effort, you will miss the opportunity potentially to reconnect with them.
That's right.
You have to schedule yourself. You have to focus in and dial in. The business is not necessarily 9 to 5, but it is from whenever to whenever in order for you to find the success that you're after.
Yeah. Yeah. You made your point about not answering the phone. Agents will say they don't want to answer the phone because it's most likely going to be spam. Yet they're paying money to get their phone number in all kinds of places. Why not? It's quicker to pick up the phone and say nope and click than it is to research it, look it up, call it back, listen to the message,
Mm.
I don't understand that.
Well,
Okay.
there's so much technology out here, Joe. Like for prime example, I have an app on my phone that I use that I mean, it more or less screens the calls. It'll block some of the spam numbers, but it screens the calls. So, and if I'm available, even if it does say spam, if I'm available, I still answer the spam calls too, because sometimes a regular consumer's number will show up. I can pick up the phone and answer it. Not, then I do have a habit of calling people back oftentimes before I even get their voicemail. If I recognize somebody who called me, and granted I don't call random numbers back without the voicemail,
Right.
but a number I recognize, I will dial that number back without even listening or reading a voicemail that I may have received.
Yeah. No, that's smart. So you've had agents up and down, in and out of your office, your company, and that's just the way this business is. What are some of the reasons from your point of view, or maybe they're telling you that they're leaving?
So here's what I found, Joe. So most times they don't say, or well, I say most times they don't say. The ones that do say, typically they are looking for something more glitz and glam.
Yeah.
Our business has become a lot of grandstanding and showboating, and oftentimes without context. I tell the reality, going back to the project I made mention of, I've quietly, myself and a couple of my agents have quietly sold 20 houses quietly. We're not all over social media. Nobody really knows, because that audience for that project is specific. We've dialed in to the people we need to be working with. However, those 20 that we have sold, I've sold another 20 on top of that, just myself. And we don't do it with a bunch of noise. We do it consistently. I average as I produce, so I average about 35 transactions a year as I look back over my 20 plus years. When I look back and look at the numbers, about 35 transactions a year that I close myself. So when look at it and look at it as a whole, oftentimes is that you want something more glamorous. You see people, this place, posting this, but nobody goes and really looks at the stats, and nobody goes and looks at the numbers, Joe, to make sure that what you're seeing is actual. At the end of what we do in this industry, we're all independent contractors. Let me rephrase that. Vast majority are independent contractors. You're building your business within a brokerage, within another business. If you dial in and focus on building your business will succeed. If you watch other people's business and desire or otherwise try to replicate, it doesn't work for you. I had an agent that, I did 4 transactions within a 5-month, 4 or 5-month time period, closed them. 3 of them were deals I referred, and one of them was yours, and you haven't done anything. What does that look like past that? So I get it, because okay, I get it. But if you're at a company or at a place where you're being provided opportunities, you have everything that you need available to you and training on how to use it, then at that point in time, utilize it, take the training, improve your skills with it, and go. Because Joe, I don't know about you, but when I got into this business, nobody held my hand and walked me and gave me business and did this and did all the things that myself as a broker do. I'm very accessible to my agents. My broker, I saw one time period before I became a top producer in the company, I didn't really see my broker really at all. Had a fear of him technically, didn't see him. When I became a top producer, I saw him 2, 3 times a week. Here on the other side of it, when you're starting out, nobody most times are there to handhold you, accompany you to appointments. They're not letting you go to appointments with them. So all those things that I try to dial in and focus and drill down into an agent, wherever they go, whatever it is that I try to instill in them, if they find success in a business, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, this business is it's simple, right? It's getting in front of people, it's talking to people. It's not easy, and I think that's the difference. That's what shakes people up. They think it's gonna be a lot easier than it actually is. One of the things I've been finding is there's so much, not just noise. There are friends of agents that are out there trying to pull them over to get into their revenue sharing line and get into their business because they like it there. One of the challenges, and you alluded to, is they don't do the homework to find out if it fits that person, who they are, and what their goals are. And sometimes they don't even know what their goals are and what they're trying to do because they're not really in tune to the business and to who they are. So do you do a lot of when you're with your agents, are you building the business the way around them or are you showing them your techniques?
So I build the business around them, but I demonstrate what I'm doing and share with them. If it works for you, feel free to. But if it doesn't, then you got to figure out how to get this accomplished in your way. One of the things that, agents don't understand this. I had a coach some years ago, and there's three things a broker do. We recruit, we retain, and we increase agent productivity, right? Those are the
Mhm.
three things. And more work goes into recruiting than oftentimes the other two.
Yeah.
So as soon as an agent is with a company, there is usually someone who is either targeting that company to try to recruit from and or they're targeting all new agents. So what happens is everybody wants to be desired, right? I remember, oh Joe, I remember this. I remember all the people that would call me. I'd go meet with them, all this stuff. They want to take me to lunch, coffee, whatever. And they want to tell me about all these companies. And I never left a company. I left the first company I was with because the opportunity fit what I was trying to do, right? Wasn't for revenue, it wasn't for money at all, wasn't for splits, wasn't for nothing other than what they were doing. I left the company with more technology to go to a startup that had none because what they were doing mattered to me. When I left that company, I started my own to do the same thing, to continue that work. And when I made the switch again and bought a franchise, at that point in time, I got technology and resources to help me to continue the mission. What I told every recruiter, Joe, every one of them, splits don't matter to me. That's the first thing they're gonna tell you. How about a split? This, that's fine. That's great. But it doesn't matter to me. The reason why it doesn't matter to me is because we're in an industry where we can make as much money as we want to make. So you're telling me you're gonna give me you telling me you're gonna give more money. Technically, you're not giving me more money because if I don't go sell anything, a higher split means nothing. So that's not the conversation for someone like me who sees the business as a business and understands how all these other components and pieces work. Most agents only focused on a high split. Well, it's my money. Well, if it's your money, open your own brokerage.
Right.
That's what you do. Take the responsibility, the liability, and all those other expenses and costs that your broker has. Take all of that. That's when you do that. Outside of that, then there's a cost to do business, COG, cost of goods, cost to do business, pay whatever it is, and then go from there. But at the end of the day, most agents, in my opinion, Joe, want someone who has their back, someone who has the ability, willingness to share and connect with them and help them to understand how they can succeed in this business. And it's not easy at all, which you know.
Yeah, no, it's not. And that chase for the higher split, I mean, there's a value perception, right? That's off. If they're getting a high split, there's I mean, not a lot of value they're going to be getting there. There are a few exceptions, very few. When you get and it doesn't affect the bottom line. That's what it's all about. It's about profit. It's about time. It's about how you spend your time. I had my own firm for a while, and it got to the point where all those things that you just said all those costs, the administration, the finding the tech, building all that stuff, keeping it all going was such a distraction that I wasn't able to do deals.
Mhm.
So when I finally made the decision, went with the company that aligned with me. I took my time and it was such a relief. Now, the first check I got at my first commission check, I was stunned because it was a big chunk taken out. And as it went on, I was like, I have so much more time to do more business. I'm not chasing the technology. I don't have to go out and create my own marketing pieces. I could buy things at scale prices, not rack
Mhm.
rate. There was just so much that I didn't have to do. I was happy paying that money. And it was funny, my checks started piling up. This is before direct deposit or before I had it set up. And the checks are piling up in the admin's desk. He's like, Joe, what's going on? You got all these checks. I'm good. They're not running to the bank to go fill it up because of all the money I spent to get there. I got
Mhm.
somebody basically fronting me the money to run my business.
One of the that you know what, Joe, and that's interesting you should say that because agents don't again, people that understand business understand that. Like, they understand that, okay, well, I didn't have to pay this insurance, I didn't have to pay this, I have to pay that. Now, what they do have to pay is basically a reimbursement for something that somebody else has either covered or they've got it and you're paying costs for it and not, if you will, retail, as you said, rack pricing. When I made a decision, when as an independent, I was paying 70 something dollars, about $80 per sign for sale sign that I ordered as an independent from the same company. From the same company, when I became part of Exit, the same company, I ordered them signs and I was paying $45 for them. And I did the conversion and had to do all of that. That was like the first, like, wait a minute, man, I've been doing this thing here wrong. Because people they look at, again, yeah, you might have a better, higher split. Yeah, that makes sense. I can understand and appreciate that. However, the leverage, the buying power, and all those other things and resources that you didn't have to go out and build, that you didn't have to go out and create, all those things are for your better good in business down the road because somebody, as you may mention, has paid the cost for you to be able to do so. So why would you not? I always tell agents, I've been you. When I started in sales, I was you. I started with no money, but I had grit and determination. So I showed up. I was retail. I was in retail management, Joe, when I started. So I had a Sunday off and one day during the weekend. My dad would say to me, he said, "Son, you got to get into the office." He said, "That's where the stuff happens. That's where the moving and the shaking is." So I would make it a point on my day off. I'd just come hang around the office for a little while, and I did that. And then one day I messed around, and I managed a cell phone store, so I'd have people in the store, and I'm trying to help them either purchase a phone or, most times I have troubleshooting. So people come in, I'm on with tech support. But I had this thing, if you was in the store with me for more than 5 minutes, you knew I was in real estate.
Yeah, I think
And it was consistent. If you was
that
in that store with me for more than 5 minutes, you knew I was in real estate. And some of my early clients came from my connection to that cell phone store.
that's fantastic. Yeah, and you hit on 2 things. The first one I just forgot because you brought out the second one. In this business, you can do it anywhere you want, any which way. Whether it's at the ball field on your team, whether you pick up, I've seen people making 10 mil in sales in 1 year on their pickleball team. There's just your book club, your church. Don't go there for business. There's just anywhere you live and the way you live, you can just build a business around that. It's phenomenal.
So my first contract, Walmart. I was in Walmart with my mother. My mother grocery shopping. I was on the phone talking to somebody. We were going to checkout, so kind of, walking past people or whatever. And my mother slowed down and elbowed me a little bit and said, "Boy," "look here." She just was talking to somebody about buying a house. So I turned around and looked, lady, maybe about a cart length or two behind me, and she on standing on the telephone. So I got off the phone, walked over to her, walked over to the cart. I said, "Excuse me, ma'am." I walked by and I overheard that you're looking to buy a house and I'm a realtor. So she got off the phone. We stood there and talked probably about 30 minutes. She gave me her contact information. About a week and a half later, I went and met with her and her husband. They were in process trying to get approved to purchase through a particular program. And they were meeting obstacles and roadblocks. And they just anxious to get out of this apartment. Within 2 to 3 weeks of that, we were writing a contract on brand new construction, the first contract I ever wrote. I've been in the business for maybe 3 months, if not, if that. I don't know if I was in the business 3 months yet when they wrote that contract. My first contract, brand new construction, almost $200,000 house at the time, and the median price in our market at that time was maybe 160,000. So that was forever ago. But that was my first contract, and what that demonstrated to me, all you gotta do is pay attention.
Yeah.
Because people have needs. So all you gotta do is pay attention and be sensitive to those needs, and you will find opportunities. That's where I found my first one. And in general, just by talking to people, you see I got on a logo shirt. But if I stand in line at a grocery store with somebody more than 5 to 7 minutes, my rule still applies. If I stand there with you, I'm gonna start talking to you. And my first thing is, "Well, what do you do? Where do you work?" And by default, they ask me the same thing.
That's right.
And response is, "Oh, well, I'm a real estate broker. I get to, change people's lives forever by using real estate as a vehicle," or something jazzy or snazzy like that.
Right, right,
And
right.
that opens up conversation and creates opportunities.
Isn't it? It's one of the best conversation starters. Everybody either wants it or they want to get rid of it. They want more of it. It's just, or they have it already and they want to know what the values are doing. It's just, there's no end to the conversations. It's wonderful.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
really good. I was at a Little League game sitting in the car. It was cold out. And I looked next to me in the car next to me. And this is back when Sunday papers were a thing and there were actually ads in the paper. Wow, that sounds like it's so old fashioned. And this guy sitting there reading the ads for real estate ads. Folds it up, and I recognize him. Knock on the door. 2 months later, maybe
Huh?
3, we had him in house. It was awesome. So you just don't know where it's gonna come from. You just gotta pay attention, like you said, and don't be afraid to ask.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
great.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
That's right.
It does not. Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of closed minds, one of the things you mentioned earlier, which just popped back to me, is well, you said go into the office where the action is. I'll take 2 takes on that one.
Okay.
My first experience when I opened up a brokerage for a developer, and he was like, "There's no reason to be in the office. Deals happen outside unless you're on the phone. Let's go out and find some people." So we just go out, try to make stuff happen, and that was a theory, and it's somewhat accurate. You got to be out there in front of people if you're not on. The other one was when I left the firm, my own firm, and I joined that other company. It was just for the reasons you mentioned. I made sure those people were the people I wanted to be around with. They were way better than me. Their numbers were incredible. And I
Mm.
wanted that to rub off. So when you go back to looking at those discount brokers, or if you're just chasing splits, you look around, they're all just chasing splits. Who are you better than? I mean, who's better than you in that? You need to be people. Agents should want to be around people that are better than them, smarter than them, so that they can learn from them.
So Joe, I'm gonna give you this. My office, this office. People come to my office for help. And I realize that because I mean wherever your office may be, want to buy a house. Or on occasion, maybe somebody might walk in, hey, I want to sell a house. That's all well and fine. And granted, at the core of what we do, I mean, that is a part of our process. We help people with real estate sales and real estate purchases. And if anybody's doing leasing or whatever, whether it be commercial or residential. However, when people walk into my office, they're coming in here looking for help. And I want agents here that want to legitimately help people, which means sometimes somebody's walking in here, hey, I'm in a bad situation. I need to find another place to go, whether it be a rental, whether it be, I need help finding a rental. I need, help, selling this house. Maybe, someone passed or whatever. And they legitimately need to be assisted, educated, counseled, advised through a process, not just, hey, I want to sell this house, or hey, I want to buy a house. Because oftentimes agents work from this, I know everything, and they never legitimately connect with the consumer. They don't focus on understanding what matters and what's important to them. One of the things that I really, really, really try to focus on, I spend time with the consumer. I try to get to know them and try to get to know what's important to them. And I focus on trying to understand them because that helps me to serve them better. I serve them from their posture, not mine. That's what's important to me. So I work to have agents here to meet those needs, that when someone walks in here and needs help, we jump, okay, what can we do to help you? And as we focus on helping you, in order for us to help you, we must have served you. And if we serve you, then you'll send more people for us to service. It's no different than an amazing restaurant. You go and you get great service at that restaurant. People will talk about the service and other people show up for the service. Now, the food got to be good, don't get me wrong, but you can have mediocre food and great service and have a packed restaurant. But if you got bad service and amazing food, you'll never serve anybody.
That's right. Yeah, actually, there's a restaurant going out of business. They had good food, service was brutal. They're not going to make it. One of the challenges, I think, I'm probably guilty of this in the past, is as a real estate agent, we're doing transactions consistently, or we should be. And when we get a client, sometimes we forget they don't know what we know, and we
Mm.
just kind of ride right over them without taking the time to really explain what to expect, why you're doing what you're doing, what they need to be looking out for, and what's next. And we just
Mhm.
drive through it. And there's a huge communication gap, which happens a lot. And it's easy for that to happen to people.
So true.
Corwyn, this has been awesome. I don't want to keep you much longer. We've been going on. What a real estate agent right now who is in a firm, they're struggling with what they're doing. What would you recommend?
So we talked earlier, or Joe, about noise, right? Here's the reality. If you're in an office agency and you have people in that agency that have been in the business for greater than 20 years, some 30 years, maybe more, then here's what you know. What you should know is that no matter what happens, there's longevity in the business. So that's who I will be spending my time with, not the people that got in a couple of years ago or a few years ago, interest rates skyrocketed, and now seemingly they can't assist anyone. I have a friend of mine, he used to be my car guy, and he would say this thing, and I keep it and I share it with people all the time. He would say to me, Joe, he said, business is slow for slow-minded people. And the first time I really, like, when he said it, and I thought about that thing, I said, you're right. So I don't think slow no more. So when agents start talking to me about the market is slow, I get away from them
Yeah.
because I don't think like that. I think the market is great. You know why? Because every day someone needs to sell. Every day somebody's looking to buy. And all you got to do is play matchmaker and find those people and put them together and create a deal, period,
Right.
and work through the nuances. So I stay away from people that speak noise, rates. I remember when rates started going up, I constantly poured into stop having a conversation about rates. Stop falling into it because one, you can't change them. That's number one. The second thing is no matter what rates are doing, if people are still buying houses, you're thinking people are not going to buy houses. I know in the market that we serve that we have an inventory shortage, people are going to still buy. Some people may not, they'll wait or otherwise may be priced out because of rates. But you need to go find them another product, or you need to focus on the ones you can serve first as you try to figure out and navigate the others.
Yeah.
But focusing on that, the reality is you can't rebuy the house. You can always refinance it if rates come back down. So my conversation with the consumer is, hey, this is where the rates are now. This actually is a low historical rate in comparison to what it used to be. However, they are greater than what they were. But let me give you this as a thought process. If rates come down, you can refinance. If they never come down, or if they go higher and don't come down, you got a great rate today. So this is the option that may be better and best for you. Your decision that may be better and best. So first thing to tell an agent, stay away from the noise. Someone speaking negative, speaking ill, someone who's not focused on solutions but focused on problems, stay away from them. Those are the worst kind of agents. They do not function well. They don't perform well. They're not the kind of agent that you want to be. The second,
And they don't want that person succeeding either because they're not. They want to pull them down,
exactly. It's,
right?
yeah. The second thing is go learn. Agents do not educate themselves. I have bins upon bins of certificates from classes and all these things that I took in my early years that I did. Because I would create, I had time, some time, but I created time to go get educated, to learn about things, and then figure out how to apply those things in my business. The training that you get in your office is beneficial as a whole, but learning the specifics on various programs, understanding how mortgages work. Most agents have no idea how a mortgage works. All they know is, oh, you fill out this piece of paper, or you do this, and they'll tell you, they'll pull your credit and tell you whether you approve. Nah, a lot more that goes in there. Understand the programs, what you can do, what you can't. But you get that by going and getting training. Spend time with your lender. So seek out the knowledge so that you're a master of your craft. Most agents, they don't focus on mastering their craft. All they care about is trying to get to a paycheck. But if you master the craft, everyone wants the craftsman.
That's right.
Everyone wants the craftsman. So if you master your craft, they will come to you and you'll make money. You won't have to go to them. But they just spend time chasing, trying to convince people. If you master your craft, at that point, people will seek you out. They'll wait for you. And in turn, your business will continue to thrive and grow.
That's right. Great advice. Thank you for that.
Welcome.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
You've come a long way in this business, in life. You're serving a lot of people. You're doing a lot of good. You're putting people to work. What would you tell that was on the roof, shingling with shingles on his back? That was you years ago. What would you want to know right now?
I would tell them not to give up. I would tell them to dial in and remain focused. You get to pick who you're going to listen to. You can hear a bunch of things, but you get to pick who you're going to listen to. So focus on listening to those people who are speaking greater and not lesser, those who are focused on increase and opportunity versus those who are focused on less than and taking away.
Perfect.
If you do that, then you'll find all the success in life and in business that you could ever desire. That's what I would tell them.
Nice. Nice. Corwyn, thank you so much for coming on board. Viewer, please subscribe, hit the like button, and share this with agents that you know, and come back often. Be your best. Have fun. Thanks, Corwyn.